The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see.
It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
I'm not afraid of fate, and I stand alone. Good to see you guys. Monday, May 10th, 2021. Good to see you. Jason Sear, Jordan Bernard, Ian's Bookshelf, Richard, Andy. I said Andy, but it's Randy. Yeah, there's Ian. Randy. That doesn't really work. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Good to see you guys. Happy Monday or Monday evening, wherever you are. Our theme of this week is creating the impossible. How do you create the impossible in your life? Whether you can actually see it now, whether you can feel it in your body, whether you just think it's a bunch of horse shit that you can have an amazing life full of freedom and passion and sex and intimacy. That's where I'm starting off, Cynthia. Let's start it off with whether you can fucking believe that or not. Whether you can believe it or not, this is Miss Cynthia Kruse, the only woman allowed on this show for her professional and feminine perspective. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Thanks for having me, as always.
Oh, you are, man, starting to rise in the world. Cynthia's sexcapade spot for today. Oh, my God. Long, slow stroke. I'm having trouble reading for some reason. Holy shit. What are you doing? What are you doing to me on a Monday morning? Long, slow strokes. Long, slow strokes. And she does have underwear on.
Yes,
apparently.
she does. She's showing it. She's
blooming for us. She's helped that flower bloom, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Absolutely. So yeah, today I want to jump into a little bit different. It's about creating the impossible. We just finished 8 weeks of King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. And I wanted to pick one thing to start with creating the impossible. And that's your mindset. Do you actually believe that it's possible in some place in your body? Can you feel it first and your mind hasn't caught up? Or maybe your mind is trying to race its way there, but your body doesn't believe it yet, or your body hasn't caught up. I find we're one or the other. I mean, if we're both, if your mind doesn't believe it and your body doesn't believe it, then you're in a tough spot. You got to get yourself around other guys, other people, other men in this work who have been where you want to go. And then once you start to get that inkling, is your mind behind or is your body maybe behind? So I'm going to jump into that today. Good to see you, gentlemen. I want to jump over into David Deida, Way of the Superior Man. And again, it's a little bit different this week. This is, well, how do we just take the most simple thing and start with an idea? And David Deida, at the beginning of his book, Way of the Superior Man, here's the first opening 3 paragraphs I thought were poignant for today. This book is a guide for a specific kind of newly evolving man. This man is unabashedly masculine. He's purposeful, confident, and directed, living his chosen way of life with deep integrity and humor. And he's sensitive, spontaneous, and spiritually alive with a heart commitment to discovering and living his deepest truth. This kind of man is totally turned on by the feminine. He loves to take his woman sexually, to ravish her, but not in some old style macho fashion. Rather, he wants to ravish her with so much love she is vanished. They both vanish in the fullness of loving itself. He's dedicated to incarnating love on this earth through his work and his sexuality, and he does so as a free man, bound neither by outer convention nor inner cowardice. This kind of man is totally turned on by the feminine. He loves to take his woman sexually, to ravish her, but not in some old style macho fashion. Did I just copy this again?
Yes.
He wants to ravish her. It's so good. I read it again. It's so good. It's again.
She wants to be ravaged twice.
She does want to be ravaged twice. That's right. He's a free man, neither bound by outer convention nor inner cowardice. So I'm hoping that this is going to start some conversation today of, okay, this whole ravishing my woman, blooming heart, love between us, this, the universe power, the God juice, whatever words we may put on it. I'm wondering who out there today can't quite reach, can't quite touch, or even conceptualize maybe what you want in this moment. Maybe you've heard that this is possible. You've heard that a 10 out of 10 relationship is possible. You heard that you can reattract the woman that you're with, or that you can be ready for that next, well, let's say dating experience, whatever it may be, the next 12 women that you're dating. I gave that challenge last week to some men, is to go out on at least 12 dates before they actually start, quote unquote, dating anyone, boyfriend, girlfriend. You want to experience the world, but I'm wondering who's just out of reach of what they want. So this is part of our Staircase of Courage question for today. Here's the participation section of the C Note Show. Aside from seeing her bloom later on in Cynthia's Sexcapades pouch, I'm absolutely excited for that. Here's our Staircase of Courage question for today. So as long as you're not lifting the back of your skirt up and showing someone your bloomage, which that means none of you, I would guess, at this moment. So everyone's available for the Staircase of Courage question for today. Punch this into the chat. What do you want that feels just beyond your reach? What feels just beyond your radar? Maybe it's in career. Maybe it's in freedom, such as traveling. Maybe it's in relationship or sexuality with the woman that you're with or the next woman in your life. What feels just beyond your reach? What's just beyond your radar? Maybe where you can't intellectually put it together yet, or your body doesn't really believe it yet, right? What feels just beyond your reach, just beyond your radar? So let's go ahead and jump into a what would you do from the forum. I have 3 posts for today. I don't think we'll have time to get to all of them, but I've got some great ones over the weekend. Here's the first one. I haven't posted in a while. I've been busy working on myself. I'm still in the guest room and we still lack physical intimacy, but we are getting along. On Wednesday night, I'm taking my wife out for dinner to a new restaurant. We haven't been out for a while. I was wondering whether I should bring up our relationship and discuss me moving back into the main bedroom and when we might be intimate again, or whether I should just see where the night goes, and if it goes well, possibly make a move towards intimacy, ? I've been away for 4 nights on my own visiting family, and it's given me some time to reflect on my relationship. I want a deeper connection, to sleep by my wife's side at night, affection and intimacy. So what do you think this guy wants right now? Where is he right now? And what would you do? If you were this man, what would you do? Here's where I shut up. Come on in. Unmute yourself. Come on in.
I think he has to start with himself of what he wants. He wants the intimacy and also to be able to verbalize it in a generous way towards her. And if she doesn't follow along, also to do it himself, to give himself that. And I know it's more difficult with COVID right now. The thing that I wanted to type was also I want to go to museums and don't worry about people entering my 1.5 meters. Yeah, it's going to take a while. So I think I would say be a bit creative. I go to the parks now way more. I don't go so much into public spaces. And yeah, you cannot force her. So I would leave it at that. Yeah, ask her to go with him, or go with himself, or another guy friend to continue.
Yeah, Bernard, I love it, man. Good to see you. Happy Monday. Absolutely. So he's right. The last thing he typed was he's been thinking about this for 4 days, right? I don't know how long this man has been doing his work. I've seen him around the forums quite a bit, but he's basically said, I've been away for 4 days and now I have all these ideas. I want to bring up the relationship when we're out. I want to ask her when the next time we're going to be intimate is.
He should decide. I think he should decide instead of proposing her. I have these options, and I think he can do that. I'm quite sure that she wants him as well, right? Like I think in a certain sense, maybe not to every place where he goes, but do the experiments that you recommend, and I think one of the 10 times, 20 times, she might come along.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. He just said, well, of course she wants him, right? Like your assumption is that she wants him. I like that. And whether she does in this moment or not of it is irrelevant. Basically, he's going to go out and he wants to have, well, I mean, my advice would be to have fun and definitely not to bring up the relationship when they go out. To not bring up like, hey, can we like get on the calendar next time we're gonna have sex, or can we talk about that so we can so I can just unhook the wagon and get all the problems out of the way? That works, right? That works really good, right, guys? Someone else come on in. Like, hey, why don't we just talk about this and I'll be fixed? Especially over dinner when we haven't been out for a while. What do you guys think? I'm gonna kick Jason and Andy straight in the crotch if they don't unmute them. There we go.
Go on, Jason. You can go.
Does my shirt look good? Did you read the bills? Did you like? I did the bills too, and no. So it may not be what's going on here, but it really feels like a hummingbird situation here, right? It feels like hey, I gotta check in because I haven't heard anything from her. I've been thinking for 4 days. I got this all figured out, but I don't really. We're gonna go out, which is cool. And okay, I want to fix everything right away. I want to be at the top stair of intimacy, and I want to be sleeping next to her, and I want to be all this kind of. And so he, the danger is that you're not going to give her space to breathe.
Yeah.
And she's if she's on defensive mode, I mean, there's a reason he's in the guest room, right? If they're in that place, she's going to protect herself, whether she's got building attraction for him or not. That shell is still going to get there, and the minute he starts picking at it, it's going to get hard again. So.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. You embodied that very well, though. Like, oh my God, can I ask some more questions? And I have 19 million things going on. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you doing that. Andy, come on in. What else did you want to say?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I just add that, if you're going to take someone out to dinner, what's your intent behind taking her out to dinner? And if you're going to sit there at the dinner table, I don't know what the question would be, but if it was along the lines of, do you think we might start having some sex now or something? Then, I mean, how's that going to feel to a woman? Is that going to feel like the guy's being a bit needy? Is what I'd question him.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe we can have, like, if Andy could pipe his way and then just use Andy's voice. Like, if you're at dinner and press play, like, maybe we talk about having some sex now. I can't do that
with the accent. It's
see, right?
Invitation. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. Otherwise, you're gonna go in the body bag behind Andy. It looks like there's a body bag behind you. What is that? I don't know what that is.
I mean, I just add as well. Isn't it better to lead your woman there than actually ask permission? I mean, not ask permission. It's fine to ask permission, but if you're wanting something from someone, then that's also quite close and almost the same as a need. And we're trying to get away from being needy towards our women, because if that aspect is there, that psyche, then that's kind of mummy boy relationship, and it's not going to be your woman saying to you, "Yeah, let's go fuck right now." She's just not going to say that.
Yeah, 100%, Andy. I totally agree. And a piece of this for me around our theme, 1,000%, around our theme of creating the impossible is you have to be moving toward that energetically yourself. It's not about forcing someone else to do something. It's definitely not about hummingbird questions, as Steve Forsman would say, and asking about the relationship. He's trying to stack too many things into one event. He's trying to have a relationship conversation and a therapy session, and thinking logically is going to fix it. He's like trying to fix the toilet and go out for dinner at the same time with his woman. And guess what? Let's just pick one of those. Let's just go out for fun. Let's just go out to dinner, be the man that she's hoping that you're going to be, which actually I've got the next post is really cool as well. We get some insight from a woman's female friend. We're going to get to that in a little bit here, but yeah, let's stick with the one thing of having fun, going out, having an experience, feeling adventure. Cynthia, what does it feel like if he's going to go out and stack 4, 5, 6 different conversations into one? If he's okay, we're going to go out to dinner, and that now I'm going to use that opportunity for a therapy session and to talk about our most difficult, painful things out while we're out to eat. What does that feel like for a woman? Why not do that? Well, why not do that? Maybe we should start that way.
Well, it makes me think of when you're inviting your woman out to dinner, you're it's an invitation for her surrender into your leadership, your riverbanks, the experience that you're holding a container for. And when there's agenda behind that, she might actually be in a feminine place of, oh, I get to go out to eat. And like, she puts on, some special earrings and she brushes her hair. And there's a little bit of like, excited energy in her, like, and women love that kind of getting ready, that ritual of going to experience something. And so she thinks that it's for that fun and pleasure. And then if there's an agenda we gotta approach, she could feel like taken aback. She could feel overwhelmed by your energy. She could feel like, gosh, I was trusting this space, but now there's something we have to accomplish. And then it kind of puts her back into her masculine energy with you.
That's a phenomenal point. I hadn't thought of it that way, that she's, wanting and to come along on this good time. And part of that is surrender for her.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like that's, oh my gosh. When like a man offers the experience of a date, and she just gets to like pour into that evening with you, and she's not in charge of organizing, structuring, and it just gets to be in flow. It's heaven. It's getting to go into the magic of the night with you.
Into the magic of the night. Beautiful. Absolutely. And speaking of that, I want this to be an easy mindset shift for you. So there's 2 books that I'm going to unfold also over this time: Creating the Impossible, and then the other one is How Champions Think. So let me go ahead and read a couple of paragraphs from here. The goal is, it doesn't take 1,000 steps to get what you want in life. And the first step has to start with you and your own beliefs and your energy around that space. So if you're completely against something, if your shadow work, which is another piece that we're going to unfold over the next few weeks here with Creating the Impossible, of how to do these things, it's one bit at a time. So let's start with your optimism. For instance, Michael Neal says that being stuck is not like being physically stuck in something. It's different when you're emotionally stuck, or just maybe mentally don't know what's beyond the radar you can see right now. So in his book, he says, we totally misunderstand the feeling of being stuck. We think it's like being stuck in traffic or in the mud, being caught up in something outside ourselves that genuinely is fixed and immovable. But we're not really stuck in that sense. We're stuck in our head. We can't see a way forward, and that often sets off a ton of habitual thinking about why we're stuck, what our psychological blocks are, and how long it's going to take us to get past them all. The good news is that the only thing that ever gets truly stuck is our own thinking. And we're never more than one thought away from being back in our creative flow. And Bob Rotel says, I do it by teaching the attitudes and habits of an exceptional life. So not only does he teach, he's worked with LeBron James and a lot of others in the pro golf tour and on and on and on. So this gentleman's been in sports psychology for 35, 40 years, Bob Rotella. I teach what champions think. Whatever a person's aspirations might be, these qualities and these ways of thinking will support those aspirations. They'll help him keep his commitments and persist in working to improve. They'll help her come through in the clutch and overcome setbacks. They'll help him respond effectively to competition. And they're not a mystery. They're not something that's either in your genes or not in your genes, like blue eyes. They can be learned. They're what this book is about. And he says, the first essential quality is optimism. Let's go ahead and jump into another question from the forum here. All right, number 2. So think about the number 1 is optimism, and how are we framing our life? How are we expecting things to go down? So here's one. What would you do in this spot? It's kind of a tough spot. Bring it to the men. My wife took the kids out of town for Mother's Day. She's been living at a friend's for the last 3 weeks. Friday night, I spoke with her best friend on the phone. I know that doesn't sound like a good idea. However, this girlfriend of hers said she had permission to talk to me from my wife, and she's a very decent, healthy person, an old friend of both of us. She and her husband have struggled and overcome their problems to be closer than ever. She let me know that my wife has been waiting for years to hear me compliment her and tell her all the reasons I love her. She knows my wife has moved out and knows why she's hurt and that she's trying to shut me out of her heart to protect herself. She also showed understanding of the work my wife needs to do and hasn't done. During our talk, she asked me what I loved about my wife. I spoke about things I hadn't experienced in a long time, but I know are true about her. Okay, so that's the setup. And then here's, after our talk, my friend, my female friend, and the friend of my wife texted me the following. So what do you guys think about this? She says, go to her unannounced. Tell her it's late but not over. Tell her directly what is so lovely about her. Tell her explicitly what are you going to do differently in your actions toward her. Expect to be rejected and expect to change forward anyway. Charge forward anyway. Let her know you're not giving up on her by showing up in a way she cannot deny. Your stubbornness is going to need to be stronger than hers. Not an easy feat, but your love is worth it if you can come out on the other side stronger and more in tune with one another. So let me pause right there because this is really two big chunks. So that's the first one. She moved out 3 weeks ago. She took the kids out of town for Mother's Day. I've been speaking with her friend because I got permission, basically. And the friend is telling me, go to her unannounced. Tell her how you love her. You have to be more stubborn than her. Prepare to be rejected. Your love is worth more. Your love is worth it if you can come out the other side stronger and more in tune with one another. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Maybe good, maybe not so good. Maybe you have different mixed feelings. Come on in. Good to see you guys. Unmute yourself and come in.
Oh, I was so gonna try to hold a speaker above my head and pretend I was saying anything. In your eyes, okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate the romanticism that she's bringing along in the concept, the idea. And yes, I think all that kind of stuff can happen. I guess what I would say to the man is, hey, come talk to us. I know this guy Jeff Allen. Let's go talk. There's a difference between taking advice from your female friends around relationships sometimes that is exactly right. However, the way we hear it ends up turning into us doing some kind of grand gesture that ultimately ends up looking and feeling needy, weak, out of our frame, and that sort of thing. And at the same time, it holds 100% of the truth plus some. And I don't know if that makes sense. However, we need to be really discerning sometimes when we listen to our female friends when we talk about relationship. Just as a caution, because I did it a lot. Where he needs to establish is, yes, I love her for these reasons, and coming from that masculine frame of I love you for this reason and this reason and this reason I don't really understand, but I feel it really, really deeply, and this one and this one and this one. And that would be beautiful and powerful, and in a framework where he's going to be on the edge of busting into say anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it completely depends on, like you were just saying, Jason, it completely depends on his motivation, where he's coming from, his grounding in the moment. And this is a text, it's a text from his female friend to him. So there's also no tone. There's no like setup. When are you going to say? So, if he as a man is really ungrounded and he says, it's not over, I love you, basically if I do the same thing and like, it's okay if you don't like this, but I'm not giving up on us. And if he says it like that, like, please, God, obviously that's not good. Okay. But if he's out to dinner to mash up this post, I'm going to ask you about this, Cynthia, in a second. If he mashes this post with the last one, and he's out to dinner and he spontaneously feels love come over his heart, and he says, no matter what we've been through, I love that we're here right now and on this adventure of dinner together. And then maybe says something that he truly loves about her, like what's different about her than any other woman in the world, and how he sees them striving forward stronger than ever and more in tune with one another. So I use some of those same words. I love when you smile in reaction. I use some of those same words, but what, give us your thoughts. Okay. A female friend is saying, do these things, basically throw a Hail Mary that he's not giving up on her. You need to be more stubborn than her. It's not easy, but this is the love story that I see you in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go be part of that love story. What are your thoughts? Please come on in.
Well, I was listening intently to Jason as you were speaking, because I love that frame he put on it, that what this woman said in her text isn't necessarily untrue, but the masculine frame is different, and you kind of modeled some of that. My hunch is, like, if you were just to take at face value that advice, like, oh, go tell her this, go tell her that, go tell her this, have this like great event, that might work, but the feminine, it doesn't do a really good job of hearing you say something and then she's good, like good for life. He said that once and now we're good. It's a continual request for seeing from you, and a continual request to, blossom in her own self over and over and over every day. And so the grand gesture at one point, and then things go right back to, regular patterns. In her mind, it's going to be like, oh, we'll see, nothing changes. And then that pushes her further away. Whereas if it's more what you indicated of measured and from the heart in the moment, and not I'm going to set a plan to get her back. That's more inviting a kind of version 2.0 into the relationship, where you are giving the incredible gift of offering to your woman things that in the moment are coming from your heart, where she feels that and the resonance of you. And this is in the whole span of your relationship together, not just one moment and then hoping that she'll be compartmentalized in the setting. I feel good now.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did I hear this? I think Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights, he says, don't outrun your headlights. I think I heard Charlie McKeever say that once too. I don't know if it's a Southern thing or what, but don't outrun your headlights. And that's a bit of what we're talking about here, in that this is a metaphor. So while the girlfriend, the female friend may have said, text this, go to her unannounced, tell her it's not over, tell her directly why you love her, what's so lovely about her. Be explicit about what you're going to do differently. Expect to be rejected. This is all the way the woman wants to feel in the relationship. She wants to feel that you're fine being rejected. She wants to feel that you explicitly know what you fucked up on in the past and how to fix that skillfully. That you can go to her and open your heart and not be defensive about it. To not, throw up your hands and start a fight about this, right? Not an easy feat, but your love is worth it if you can come out on the other side stronger and more in tune with one another. That's a feeling that she's trying to convey to him. And so that's where the danger comes in. The woman might say, well, do this, or this is what you should say, when it's a whole play. It's a whole act of a play behind it that she's kind of visualizing that he can do with his body and with his heart, not just with his brain. Yeah. Very cool. So that's a setup to the second part of this post. Okay. So that's a great topic. And here's the second part of this post. So I'd love for anyone to come in. I totally love Jason and Andy, and I'm going to, if they just let me sit here quiet, I'm going to shake my finger. No, you guys you can make me sit here quiet. That's fine. If I need to go on, that's fine. But here's the second part of the post. Okay. Same gentleman whose female friend is saying, text her this. Okay, what would you do here? Raise your hand or just come on in when I finish this. This talk and text message was so inspiring with my female friend, our friend. While the wife and kids were gone Friday and Saturday, I felt clear-headed and hopeful. So I want you to understand why does he feel hopeful? And then it's going to change here. I felt like I was ready to own my commitment to her and show up no matter what her reaction. Like I was going to create a marriage and invite her to join me. But Sunday morning, the feeling faded. I remembered all the times I had tried to come to her with a speech that just pushed her away, or that kept her around only for her to be angry within a week because nothing changed, while I tried to get up the courage to hold her hand or compliment her. It was so hard to cut through her angry wall or my resentment. When they returned from the trip today, it was so painful, trying to be upbeat while the tired kids put their stuff away, sad because now mom is going away to her house. I felt such anger towards her that my planned brave declaration of love seemed a fantasy. So what does compassion for myself and her look like now? Can I simultaneously commit to showing up for 2.0 and bravely look forward to being a single dad? Sounds good, easy to type or read, but I'm just trying to battle the sadness I feel for my kids. I can't think straight, and I'm getting sick of flip-flopping between hope and despair. Thoughts, and thank you for reading and listening. Sometimes it helps to just get it out. So what do you think about this particular spot? Why did all of a sudden he flip-flop emotionally? Or why did he, what happened there? What do you think? Come on in. Unmute yourself.
I'll jump in on that one.
Yeah.
I can feel a lot of empathy for this guy here, because that kind of happened to me. When I remember through stages like that, living in a zone of having hope, suddenly creating this story in my mind of wanting to fix a relationship, feeling elation from that and thinking, I'm going to say this, we're going to meet up this night, this is going to happen and everything is going to be okay again. And then on that, and then you have some other day, you wake up another day, the world hasn't changed, but your thought changed again, and you start getting some doubts in. And you realize that might not happen because of some experience or something that happened with her that reminds her of actually the reality is this is where I am. And then because you've made this story in your head and you've got this expectation of what will happen from it, and you realize that it's not actually true, then the resentfulness can come in. And that's all to do with the fact that you've had an expectation of what you were planning to go ahead. And the thing is that all these stories that we make up, we're the only ones living that. And we're feeling this anger and resentfulness towards her from our own story that we've made up that hasn't even existed in. And it's really hard to get a grip on that. And you can go through so much turmoil in your head. So I just think it's so important to base what you're doing on facts, thinking about what you want, working on yourself and staying true to the what's actually real and what's happening. But yeah, I can really feel for this guy because that really resonates for me. I was there. That's it.
How did you ground yourself? I love that, Andy. That's phenomenal. How did you ground yourself in what you believed is reality or from day to day? So he had these big wants like this. He saw it like a declaration too. He even said that it felt like it was going to be some speech, some declaration. He didn't want to move there. He felt good for a couple of days based off of this, I don't know, Disney story in his mind that was happening, but then he kind of crashed back down to reality, still not even courageous, as he said, to hold her hand or give her a compliment to try to lean into that. So Andy, when you were in that spot, how did you grow confidence in yourself or grounding in yourself, regardless what was happening outside of you?
How do I grow confidence or grounding myself? Well, I read a book, and I'm just trying to remember the name of the book now. And it was actually a book about communication, but one thing was that it mentioned a lot about how we create stories in our heads, and we have expectations from those stories of something that will happen in the future, and 95% of the time they don't happen. But once we create those stories in our head, then we develop emotions from those, and then we quite often act on that as well, and we can create quite humongous errors in our lives from going along that. So it was an awareness of that, learning that, and then every time I had a story going in my head, asking myself, wait a minute, it was the awareness. Is this a story? What am I making up here? Am I expecting this to happen again? Come on, Andy, you're learning not to have expectations. And that was a major step for me, checking my story, basing it on facts.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. I mean, mine was frustration or anger when those covert contracts weren't fulfilled. Yeah, I appreciate that, Andy. Fantastic. Kent, thanks for raising your hand, coming in. That was great, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, I love what Andy had to say there, and I truly wish I could say it in his accent because it's going to sound a lot better. No, for real, the external validation, the external expectations, and the big word that stood out to me was motivation. And I hope I'm not too far off base here, but if it takes a conversation with your wife's friend to motivate you to be the man you want to be, then I think there's some definite internal struggles there. And I kind of go back to the do, be, have scenario. Like, just start with small steps and, truly take action and how you want to take action each and every day when it's your life or your relationship, and let go of external, validation situations and let it build. Because if you're extravagant and you try to throw a Hail Mary, it's going to feel forced. It's going to feel, she's probably going to feel very stressed about it. And Cynthia hit that on the head a little bit ago, but just little things here and there because you want to be that type of man, not because your wife's friend said to do it.
Yeah. Home run, man. I love it, Kent. Absolutely. The be, do, have as well, right? Or do, be, have. Yeah. Do first, moving toward the man you want to be, right? And the have comes later. That's one thing that even in business, when I've talked to guys about how I've created, this is my third business from scratch, really, that's been successful over my 20 years as an adult. And it's, you point your shoulders and then you move toward the feelings and the connections with other people that you want to have, whether that's in relationship or business relationship or intimate relationship. And it's kind of like detaching from the orgasm, right? You don't have a plan to get to the big O. And often you find the big O in other places that you wouldn't have expected, maybe because she's blooming from behind, like Cynthia's sexcapade spot for today. So I'm going to jump into Kent, that was fantastic, man. Home run. So here's about a 1.5 minute clip from John Wineland. And it's similar to when I hold up my hands and I say that there's the forever energies and then there's the egoic energies. There's things that are going to be infinite and there's things that are finite, as Simon Sinek would say. Or there's the feelings we want to have and then there's the actions that we take. Okay. And so here's about 2 minutes, 1.5 minutes from John Wineland around holding space and what that means as far as giving her your energy. Let's watch this. Here we go.
Holding the space does not mean being dispassionate. Holding the space means having 50% of your awareness on consciousness itself wrapped around them, and then 50% of your awareness on the love that you are. So you can be fully conscious and fully heart woke, right? And be in both of those things. And so then they feel you feeling them, which actually helps them go deeper, but they feel you holding them with your awareness, which helps them go deeper. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Same thing in sex, same thing in holding your own emotions, same thing in holding emotions for a partner. It's kind of a quintessential practice in this work to be able to do that. Does that make sense? That 50-50 thing. Now, it might go, it's fluid, man. You can't like land on 50-50 and just keep your awareness and feeling at a perfectly locked 50-50. But the idea is to really bring, and then there might be moments where you're like, oh fuck, this guy needs 80% of my heart and 20% of my awareness. No, he needs, like he's all emotion or she's all emotion, so she needs almost 80% of my awareness and 20% of my heart. And so there's that fluidity. So holding space is not a dispassionate experience. It's something that I think a lot of men misconstrue about this work. It should be very moving, but moving with structure, moving with awareness.
Okay, so I wanted to add this as icing on the cake of the post that we're talking about. Okay, so it's not dispassionate. It's not just saying the words. It's not just texting the right thing, but it's also not falling in and drowning in vulnerability. It's not drowning in hummingbird or any of those things as well. So, Cynthia, I wanted to ask you from this clip here. He's talking about consciousness versus emotions, basically, or giving them your presence and being aware of what's outside as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if we go back to, hey, I want to have dinner with her, I'm nervous, I want to reconnect with her. And Wyland's talking about a percentage here, percentage there. I mean, we talk about it as you have to have both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be practiced with awareness at the same time. So these gentlemen that's going out, they're tentative of whether their wife wants any connection with them or not. How much sexuality should we be bringing up? How would you put that in the context of being present with her and then holding this vision for the future? So he wants an amazing relationship, right? And if he holds that in his mind and compares what's happening in the moment, he might feel disappointed compared to just being in the moment and having sort of no direction. I'm curious how a man might balance that or think about that in a different way. He's going to go out on a date. He wants to connect. There's this moment, but then there's the vision I want to have too. So how would you give any more insight into what we've been talking about here in that realm?
Yeah, that's an amazing video. And I think there's from the feminine side of things, when the masculine is practicing total and absolute detachment and total and absolute, I'm just going to be conscious and hold space, and there's going to be no emotion in there. That's really hard for the feminine to connect to if she's looking for some sort of emotional resonance, because that's how she feels connection, emotion. And so there is this feeling I get around men who are practicing presence and detachment, but they also are connected to that they still do have desire. Like, they are allowed to have desire in their own life. They are wanting, they have vision for things in their own life. And that combination of the two together is one of the most enormous, hugest energy I've ever experienced, that makes me feel connected, safe, trust them, and respect the hell out of wherever they're going. It's almost like a magnetic pull toward, oh, he's like container and riverbanks, but I also feel his heart and his vision and his desire. Like, I'm going wherever he's going.
Yeah, beautifully well said. I wasn't sure what Cynthia was going to say. That was fantastic. And that's a piece of what almost feels like it's impossible to have that in relationship. And if you've never had that, or I'm speaking to myself in the past, if you didn't know that was a real thing, if you will, if you can have that in a relationship, a woman wants to be a part of that and a man wants to lead into that as well and still have this life. That's what I wanted to share, is that that's totally possible.
Yeah. It is not only possible, but it's what the feminine is craving and hungry for in you, is that kind of place that you're holding both worlds. Because just one or the other, if it's all emotion and all feminine flow with her, there can't be that kind of polarizing attraction. And then if it's all detachment, all presence, blank slate, there's nothing to connect with. And it will actually, she'll end up feeling pretty alone in your presence.
So it's not either or, it's yes and, right, Cynthia? Cynthia's Sexcapade spot today: long, slow strokes. Long, slow strokes. What would you like to share? Please take it away.
Well, I would love to reference, we were talking about that post earlier about, a gentleman trying to do too many things at once, trying to jump from, 0 on the staircase of intimacy to 10. Like, let's plan 10. And so often that can happen in the bedroom. The 0 to 10, or even 0 to 5 can go a little too quickly. I even, as a woman, experience like that. I can feel that desire in myself. And there's an exquisiteness of slowing down that kind of energy you can create between two people that sustains relationship for the long term, that builds intimacy even for the future. And so long, slow strokes on her body can be in many fun areas, but they also can be, in all crevices of her body. Long, slow strokes on the inside of her elbow, long, slow strokes on the back of her knee, her neck, her back. But in this case, this is a experience that you can have with your woman that doesn't necessarily have to lead to orgasm. You can have your woman lying on her stomach and spend time massaging her inner and outer thighs and back of her legs. Use warm massage oil and run your hands from her knees all the way up to her buttocks. Use long, slow strokes, slower than maybe you even imagined possible. And now gently massage her rear end, slide into the crack between her cheeks and slide your hand up and down, massaging her anus. Then turn her over and massage the front of her legs in the same long, slow manner. So even though on her backside, you got to the point of stroking in between her buttocks, when you turn her back over again, go back to this is the long, the slow, and we're not hurrying to get anywhere. Bring this same touch to her stomach and pubic area. Start at her hips and then move down to the crevice between her legs and pubic mound. Try this 10 times, maybe for each leg, one at a time. And I would offer here that you really stay between those crevices between her leg and her pubic mound without really touching her clit yet, because you're really going to see this powerful hunger in her as you're awakening this part of her body for more and more. So allow her that time to go from each step up the escalation with you slower than you could have even imagined. And then also, even this can be brought to stroking her hair. That kind of stroke and slow kind of touch is, it's like having, glitter, falling down your back, and brings stars into her body to experience that kind of container you're holding, but also desire with her with just your fingers.
That's so beautiful. And so whether this is holding her hand or stroking her hair or whatever it may be, or maybe you're running your hand up and down, in Cynthia's, on her legs and her anus, and I mean, amazing, right? But if you're just into, wow, I'd love to go out to eat with her and hold her hand, I would encourage you to have the same focus, which I'm going to give you right now. And the focus is, I'm enjoying this moment. I'm breathing in her femininity. Okay. And a separate energy from that is you're unattached to where this goes. So enjoying the moment, unattached to where this goes. And then nowhere in there is, I'm worried that she's going to like it. Okay. You're definitely paying attention to her feedback, and that's giving you real time in the moment calibration of the speed and what you're doing. And maybe you should take a step back, or if she likes it harder, she's going to let you know these things as well. But even if it's touching her hair, holding her hand, it's the act of enjoying that in the moment and what you're creating with her, not being worried about some destination, not being worried if she's going to like it or not in particular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you add to that?
Yeah, I think we talk, we're joking at the beginning about, oh, this woman's picture, she's blossoming. When flowers blossom, it's a gentleness to it. There's like drops of rain and warm sunlight. And if you're looking at your woman's body in that way, she's going to feel the power of your presence and kind of, I'm holding the space here with you. And she's also going to feel that kind of reverence and being seen that this wife in the post was really looking for the feeling of with her man. And you're right, that's not going to be solved by, saying the perfect thing, I will love you forever. It's going to really be solved with that kind of intent, whether it's in a stroking conversation with her or stroking her body.
I love stroking conversations. Speaking of stroking conversations, good to see you guys. Ken was here. Jason, fantastic. Andy, I appreciate you guys. Jordan was here. Bernard, thanks for jumping in. Matt, good to see you. Dave, good to see you, buddy. Randy, Richard, Walters, JT, and Richard. So tomorrow I'm going to use what you guys put. If you punched into the chat, looks like a few guys punched into the chat, something that feels just beyond the radar. And I want to use that tomorrow as a jumping off point for our theme of this week, creating the impossible. Love that you guys are here. Same time tomorrow, same channel. Fantastic. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Cynthia. Bye, guys.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. Never miss an episode. Watch anytime, anywhere, 3 a.m. on the toilet. Get full episodes. GreatMenMoveMountains.com/VIP. The C Note Show.